Hello, everybody. Hello, all you beautiful souls. Thank you for joining me for this special transmission tonight. So, we're not going to be doing any personal questions tonight, as I've said. Hi, Renata. Thank you so much for joining us again. It's lovely having your energy here. And we are going to be asking questions to the three entities that I am channeling tonight. And so they are the luminous rainbow light elementals. So they live within another realm of reality, another dimension within the earth, if that makes any sense. So they are semi-informed and semi-not informed. So it's quite interesting. They're very much light beings more than anything else, but they can come into form if they need to or wish to. And they usually take the form of some kind of crystalline structure. They're like they kind of look to me like a mixture between a humanoid made of crystals and will-o'-the-wisps. So that's when they're in form, but they can obviously change their form to suit many needs. They can even look like animals or anything like that, but they also look like crystals. It's kind of it's very interesting, a very, very fascinating, amazing energy and beings. But yeah, they're mostly light beings who live within the earth, so they light most of the time, and they resonate very high. So it's quite very high frequency. So yeah, I am looking forward to chatting with them and chatting with all of them. Then we're also going to be speaking to Fayara Kashak, whom I have channeled, I think, on 2 previous occasions. And I have linked the channeling I did with him on the previous videos. It's down below. So you're welcome to have a look there in the description later on or whenever you want to. And he is an ancient alien, an ancient extraterrestrial. So he came here, I would say, some people might dispute this, but hundreds of thousands of years ago. He's old. He's very old. And yet his spirit and energy is quite young in a way as well. He definitely doesn't look old. And and he is one of Enki's children. So that's very interesting as well. And he was based here in South Africa, in Southern Africa, because it looked very different then. Obviously, there was a whole different topography and everything. But the sacred places on the earth, so a specific set of land and rocks, and it might change and transform, but the energy in that locale, if I can put it that way, remains the same. And then when the wars happened and when the flooding happened as well, so there were 2 occasions. When the wars happened, he didn't go underground, but they started making preparations. And when the flooding came, they went underground and to certain protective areas and so on. So very interesting, very, very interesting. And then I'm also going to be channeling the Inner Earth Ancients. When I was asking who should I bring through tonight, I was surprised that they came up and that they're willing to talk to us, because they're very, very, very few people have met with them. They look like monsters. They're giant. They are just humongous and kind of smelly, and they're in physical form. but they're also very ancient and very wise. So it's almost like they have the wisdom of trees, if you know what I mean. They are not creatures of lots of words. They are very, very peaceful. Um, and they have a very different view of things. And they're also very, very close connected with Earth. And it's almost like they are guarding Earth's innermost center in their own way, and kind of the custodians of Earth to some degree. So I am really looking forward to speaking with them as well. So that's everyone I'm going to be channeling tonight, 3 different entities. And so we're going to try and divide it up into about 30 minutes each, just so that we can give each of them a chance. If after, let's say, 20 minutes we're done, with one being, that's fine. But I just want to limit it at 30 minutes each maximum. Okay. And hi, Viola. Hi. Thank you so much for joining us. It's so nice to have you here. And hi, Tracy. So yes, everybody's been feeling the effects, the energy lately. Has anybody else been feeling really tired or fatigued or overwhelmed or emotional or going through some kind of physical thing? So I am going currently through a cleanse, and the detox symptoms are pretty severe. I'm sure you noticed that I've got a bit of brain fog. Um, But it's also just the perfect time for something like that because of the energy we have here, especially in the Southern Hemisphere with um, it's letting go energy right now. It's just being at peace and letting go energy. I think you're gonna have to let our cat in. Pumpkin wants to come in because oh, okay. Well, whichever it is. If he wants to come here, it's fine. I think he just wants to be with some people. Sorry about that. Otherwise, he's going to be anxious if we don't see to him. Anyway, so yes, just stumbling over my words a bit and all of that. I'm going to try my best to not let that happen during the channeling. But the higher frequencies also help me with that, so that I can just let the messages come through without what's the word? Without distortion, without interference, because that does happen because I'm a conscious channel. If I am struggling with something, my whole brain can interfere. And in the flip side, if I'm really excited about a topic, I can sometimes come forward a little bit too much because my brain starts kicking in because I'm there for everything, but I also have a whole different experience in the background. So when people are when I'm channeling and I'm letting the higher frequential being come through, I'm stepping into the background. It's kind of a dreamlike state, and I see a lot. I have a full experience, like a dream almost. And they're just using my tools, my voice box and everything, as well as my psychic ability, my clairvoyance to show me things. Sometimes there's some telepathy going on, but generally when I'm channeling directly like that, it's more like I'm transmitting. It is telepathy because many of the beings don't speak English and the way we speak. So it is kind of like telepathy, but they use what I have. So if I'm limited in language or certain understanding about, let's say, scientific concepts, they will try their best to get the message across with what I know, if that makes sense. Especially in terms of vocabulary and things like that. So yes, that's me. I would love to get some questions. I know that we already have some questions. And so we have 3 questions so far from our WhatsApp group members. I am also just wanting to go and see what I wanted to ask. I'm trying to remember.
Got it, yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to questions coming through, and I might actually, Anthony and everybody else, if a question occurs to me, maybe in between the channelings, or if I feel I need to come forward and ask a question, I will also ask that. All right. So I feel we first need to speak to Fayara Kashak, the let's call him the South African Annunaki. He's like an extraterrestrial ambassador, um, who is willing to speak to certain of us, like using us channelers, and maybe he will also speak to other people that are allowed to be at the spaceport, because not many are allowed at this time yet. Yeah, so he's mainly based at the. I wouldn't say he's based there, but he works a lot with the Table Mountain Spaceport. But yeah, he does reside somewhere else or go other places at times. Okay, so I get the feeling he's more closer to the surface here. He's at the mountain. Yes, getting a confirmation of that. And he's ready to come through. Okay, so for you, if you have any questions about our origins, especially in Africa and Southern Africa, the tunnels that's underneath our Earth here, anything about the spaceport, anything about other beings that live with him, or other beings that live in this at the spaceport, because there's a spaceport and then there's like a city as well. There's a whole beautiful city. Any questions if you want to ask about the Fey race? We've got more than one Fey race, but there's a very specific one that's like, I almost think of them as a Fynbos race, but they live on top of the mountain and elsewhere around, but especially around the mountain. And they're very short. I don't know what to call them, if they're gnomes or what they are. To me, they're unique. They're humanoid, but they're quite unique, and they're small and they're very wise. So yes. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Let's go. Let's start with the channeling. Okay, just setting a container for the space, asking all the archangels to just hold space for everyone. Fuye ki sintaka se nke shiteke yasusuku se teki yasusuku shinta siteki yasusun teki tarapape. Inkara kinkata katnak kasagin kakin kan kan tot artisisa paseke se suko hotoken aki inka. Aki su hokun kats besika admo besitite rata tokon. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the safe space of raised frequencies. Thank you very much. Hello, beloved humans. Welcome. Thank you, everybody, for having me here. I am Fayara Kashak. Thank you so much.
Hello, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Anthony. Thank you again.
Thank you. So for at the moment, we've got one question for you, but I'm sure there will be more. So we'll jump right into it. The question is, what can we do in Africa to help more people to connect to their ancient ancestors from Petranium, the tall ones?
So we shall call them the Petranians for this transmission so that everybody knows who I'm referring to. And the petroniums, of course, came through Sirius to the Earth. And as there is also a huge portal that connects to the Earth in a very specific location on Earth. A lot of the ancient Egyptians and those in Africa, the portals in Africa, have been connected to Sirius in some way. Everybody might be aware of the alignment of the pyramids with Orion's belt, and that is connected to that star system as well. So the best way to connect to these ancestors is to actually get to know yourself and your own frequency. Because in getting to know yourself better and understanding not only your human frequencies, and not only looking at your soul frequency, because what you really want looking for here are the specific frequencies of the different perspectives. So if you want to get to your ancient alien heritage and that line, that way, that perspective comes from, because it will mean for most of you that some perspective of you came here in the past. And so because that ancestral line, even though it might be in your physical DNA, you would have lived it in another lifetime as well. So I am one of the tall, dark ones. I'm a little bit shorter than the original ones. But yes, I am tall, and I am what people on Earth would consider black, but pitch black. And my ancestor, my father, Enki, even though there is a lot of negative information out there about him, he tried to help the humans. And I was united with him and my mother in this mission. So she has got some human DNA, my mother. So there's a very, and my father loved her. So there's a very important connection for me with the Galactic Federation. And the Galactic Federation is not some federation with some head office on some planet. It is a beautiful community of souls, extraterrestrials and higher enlightened beings and humans, many different races that are in a spiritual connection together. So it is more a concept and a higher dimensional connection than an actual physical organization. And many of them are relatives with these ancient extraterrestrials who settled here on Earth. So getting to know your own frequency and your different perspectives, those that are important to you, those that come up, those different perspectives, getting to know them also helps give you resources in this lifetime, helps you to clear karma, and helps you to understand one part of your soul's frequency. So really getting to understand that frequency, tuning in with that, getting to know your own perspective of that race. And this goes with any other starseeds and any other races you're connected to. Helps you to easier connect to those ancestors, help you to easier talk to those ancestors. So let it be a process. It's a journey. It does not have to be an extremely direct route. Those of you that are more gifted and more clairvoyant and more practiced at your gifts may be able to immediately call on your ancestors or ask. You can also set that intention, ask to be shown these ancestors, and they will step forward. If you have that gift, they will step forward and you can have a conversation with them. Just remember, not everyone is visual, and people may experience this in different ways. And yes, so frequencies are important. Coming from a place of love is important, and coming from your purest and highest self, if that makes sense. Your current perspective obviously has a place, but the lower vibrations will make it, if you are in lower vibrations, it will make it very difficult not only to connect with spirit, but also to connect with other higher dimensional beings. And these ancestors are very higher dimensional beings and high civilization, high technology civilization. They are not quite at the level of angels or anything like that, but still higher dimensional than what Earth currently is. I hope that makes sense and answers your question. Marlene, if you have any more, if you need any more clarification on this, please let me know. If anybody else has any follow-up questions about this, you're all welcome.
So then the original question actually wants to know how we can help more people. So it's great you explained to us how that we can connect to our ancient ancestors, but how do we help other people to do that as well?
Of course, this is a very good question. So this will fall on the light workers and sensitive souls to be able to help people with this connection. So as you get to know your own ancestors and understand all of this work, as you do it yourself, you will have the tools, in whichever way you end up connecting, whichever way feels more natural for you, you will be able to facilitate and receive information on how to connect people to their ancestors. And there are several ways and several, as you might think of it, as modalities or methods to do this. And it's much like doing an Akashic reading for somebody. That's one of the ways in which you can help them connect. And once you have established this connection, but with another level, adding another layer, and it's difficult for me to explain this right now, but it's really, in a way, passing that signature on. So if you are able to do light codes like Michelle, you can actually use that ancestral light code that person has to, it's almost like clicking the download button on the computer. You can do that with your client or with the person you're trying to connect, and let the light code be activated, and then they will be able to start resonating with that signature, with that frequency. Of course, if they are not living a higher vibrational lifestyle, they might not be able to keep that up for very long. So it is also important, another very important aspect to help all of humanity with, and that everybody can play a role in, not only the light workers. Or as you raise your vibration, you have an effect on those around you. And as you send out intentions for those vibrations to be raised, it happens many times over. It's a very intense, concentrated effect. And in that way, just by helping to elevate humanity and the Earth's, this whole plane's frequencies, by just you doing what you are called to do, it will help people, more and more and more people, to start connecting much easier with their ancestors as well. So that is critical.
Great, thank you. See, Marlene's got a few comments. I'll just read them out quick. She says, "Thank you, first of all." And then she says, "Most people are scared of these beings, not understanding they are their ancestors." And then she says, "Tribal ceremonies that can be done." I think that's a question mark. If there are any tribal
Yes,
ceremonies.
that's definitely. Let me just comment on that. So tribal ceremonies can be very useful, and even any kind of journeying or many different kinds of tribes. It does not have to be an African tribe ceremony, but of course, if you're feeling drawn to a Khoisan ritual or some other African ritual, then by all means do what makes feels good to you. If you are drawn to a certain place that you want to visit, there's probably a reason. Okay, so that in and of itself is quite significant.
Thank you. And she also says that we need to educate Sangomas to start tuning in like this. What you explained.
And the funny thing is, a lot of the Shangomas, the really good ones, the ancient ones that have kept the word of mouth, this narratives going from generation to generation, those narratives, that storytelling has the wisdom. And that signature that has made us all forget, that is starting to be worked on. So some people are actually feeling more forgetful at the moment and feeling more brain fog and things like that, especially the higher frequency people, for that reason, because that is going to change as well and help us to start remembering that. So the activation, the storytelling. So I'm now specifically speaking about Africa because that is where my heart lies, and that is where I feel the most resonant with. This is my home. It will help them, those people that are doing the ceremonies and those people that feel connected already with their ancestors, and as they remember the stories, then more information will come through, especially as that forgetting is lifted. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you. Then she also asks, is there a reason there are so many Europeans that are becoming Sangomas at the moment?
It is the Africans, and surely there are other tribes that are also remembering or have been keepers of wisdom for a very long time. Those Aboriginals all over the world, all over the globe, that have been suppressed, oppressed, and killed off in some fashion or another, if not physical, then killing their culture. So that all happened for a reason. It's because those are the keepers of wisdom. And here in Africa, there was probably the most severe. I mean, it's continent wide in some ways, even though many African nations have kept a lot of their heritage. A lot of the Western culture has still, where the French and Portuguese and English colonies came and just, and the Dutch colonies just came and decimated so much of the culture. A lot of the stories changed over time, but not completely. The essence is there, and there are some of the stories that have stayed the same, almost to the word. But it's been the forgetfulness and the lure of money and the lure of all these temptations have been so great to many. So really, this continent, in some ways, has suffered great forgetfulness. But in raising those vibrations, it has really helped them to because they have the power, right? They've got this knowledge. And the Europeans that have done all this oppression and started world wars and all those kinds of things. And of course, there's many European nations, so not pointing any particular fingers here. But they were the ones that were under the control the most of the cabal. And that is why this world order, in a way, existed, is from that. So they were the most influenced by the cabal, directly influenced. And so now that that has been lifted and they have gone from this place, and the powers that be are slowly but surely changing their thoughts, because they are not under that severe control either. So they are being forced to let go of things too, and systems are crumbling. But it's like a balancing effect that's happening. They are being called and attracted. They're attracted by it because there's an energy balance that needs to take place and is taking place, where instead of warring, fighting, oppressing, anything like that, there's a time of harmony coming. And yes, there will be those factions that will war till the bitter end, because they have such an ingrained warrior and warrior signature, and have been so brainwashed by that. So yes, certainly some will fight till the bitter end, but it's more and more coming to a place where it's going to be in balance. So that's what's happening. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you. And then Marlene's asking, is it important to link with the Dogons through the Nilotic line all the way down to Cape Town to maybe help to spread light into the continent?
Yes, activating that line in any way, shape, or form will be useful. So there will be those that will physically work on the various portals and on the specific ley line hotspots. But the work can also be done psychically. So seeing it and with energy. And so all of those things count. Some things are better done at those specific sites and the sacred sites. But a lot of the work and a lot of the preparation as well can be done psychically and with energy and with channeling.
Great, thank you. I've got a question from Melo. He says, was humanity blue, green, or red skin colored at some point in ancient past?
In the very, very ancient past, the times of Lemuria and Atlantis. So we are talking several thousands of years. There were ancient aliens living here, as many of you know, and many of them have mixed. So as you know, there are races that have been manipulated. Their DNA have been manipulated. So the evolution of mankind did not always happen through procreation, natural procreation, but through more scientific methods and energy methods. People think of energy as being spiritual and spirituality being energy work, but science and spirituality is actually the same thing, as many people are starting to know. So yes, that's the gist of it. Is there anything more specific with regards to this that I can be of assistance with?
We'll see if Mela comes back to us. Tracy has got a question for us. for you.
Yes. Thank you.
She says, if we feel a connection to a specific land, even though we may not have visited those lands, could that mean we are tapping into our ancient ancestral line?
That is highly likely. Sometimes there are other reasons for draws, though, as well, and I feel it's important to clarify those. There are times when people are drawn to specific locations because they have specific work to do there, or because they have specific people to connect with, specific lessons to learn, specific healing that they want to do. Sometimes that healing is connected to your place of origin. So because many places are connected within the earth, it's kind of like you can think of it as a telephone network, but it's not like that at all. It's semi-physical, but it's more an energetic link. So it's like some sacred locations are connected to places and other places of the world, completely foreign places, kind of as its twin. So, and sometimes there's more that are connected, but usually it's 2 or 3 places. In rarer cases, 4 places, and in even rarer cases 5 places. There are some higher connections, but those are very, very few. And I cannot speak about them at this time. So, yes, that is one of the things to understand, is that your pull that you're feeling is not always your ancestry. But if it's something that's persistent throughout your whole life, so perhaps you pulled and drawn to several locations and you visit all those locations and you learn what you need to learn. But there's one place you always feel a draw to. And even if you visited it, you keep wanting to go back. And some people may even want to immigrate. This is not always the case. Sometimes you need to stay where you are, or sometimes you want to live somewhere else, but that often happens as well. So the answer to your question, the short answer is yes, but there are exceptions. So it is important to use your intuition, and it's also the strength of the urge. Of course, the strength of the urge can also be influenced by negative experiences. Yes, and if you are drawn to a specific alien race or extraterrestrial race, that might also give you a clue. So you can do research from that point of view as well. And many races are distributed all over the globe, but specific races kind of settled in specific areas on the globe. Sometimes they spread out a bit, but it depends on the race. And they had a huge influence on the different races that we have on Earth.
Great, thank you. We've got one last question for you. Time is flying.
Thank you.
Okay, so Marlene says, so were the winged beings portrayed in Egypt physical aliens? Did they rule as gods?
Yes, Mesopotamia, Egypt. There are other places like in India as well where there were winged gods. The wings, sometimes they could make them into physical form, but they weren't necessarily always in physical form. It was a connection with a mind matter technology. These my forefathers were able to activate and create certain things in forms. So to the very primitive people that were living on Earth at that time, this was like magic. And in a sense, it is magic, if depending on what your definition of magic is. But they had very, very advanced technology. Sometimes the structures were a little bit more physical, but for the most of the time, it was almost an instant manifestation. But so they might even they might even have changed it at times, changed the color slightly or anything like that. But yes, they certainly did have the wings. They did not always use them, but they used them quite a bit, and they were actually able to. Um, they actually had a purpose besides a cosmetic effect.
Great, thank you. Are there any parting words you'd like to give to us in the consciousness?
First of all, I'd just like to say I would love to come and speak to you all about this more. I think there's a lot more I can talk to you about with regards to ancient aliens and extraterrestrials, and ancient inner races that are living here. And yes, so also to try and connect with your if you're drawn to fey beings, to try and connect with that frequency of beings and that perspective as well, because that will also give you a lot of enlightenment into your own, and I'm using that word very loosely here. What I mean with that word is different to how it's been portrayed. Just really allowing you to open up another area of the puzzle of yourself and shining the light on that area. So yeah, consider connecting with your Fey counterparts. And sometimes your Fey counterparts are in the crystals that you are attracted to. Some Fae live within the crystals, and the crystal souls and crystal spirits also. So some people may feel very drawn to crystals, but not necessarily wanting to speak to fairies, So really just whatever your flavor is. And if you're drawn more to the angels, that's fine too.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. And it's important to just understand about the wings that it was half matter, half energy. I just wanted to clear that up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Whew. I felt like I've been on some journey in Africa. Just seeing all these ancient beings and buildings and pathways, parts of the world, and some of it was geographically different. That's the best way I can put it. So very interesting. Yes. Yeah. Sure. Hi, honey. Thank you for joining us. Oh, Tracy Fae beings are like fairies and pixies and gnomes and those kinds of beings, elves. So if that makes sense. Yeah. Fayara also wants to do some more remote viewing. Raw Dragon Weaver, Marlene. We should definitely do an exploration with Fayara in the future, is what she was saying. So we're definitely going to do that. And honey, I am going to channel the rainbow light beings next. That is who I'm feeling drawn. I'm just struggling a little bit with my speech at the moment, so I'm doing my best, the best I can. Please be patient with me. Oh yes, that's what I was trying to look at here. So Marlene, who's here, she did a few channeling sessions ago. She was given information. We were channeling Anubis, I believe, and she was given information to do a journey, and she did the preparation, and then she did that journey. And then she actually went, Anubis guided her into the inner earth and into the deeper dimensions within the inner earth. So it's quite interesting because it's the feeling I get from it, the way I see it right now as I'm looking at it is kind of an infinite inside, just like there's an infinite outside in space. So the luminous rainbow light elementals were one group that she encountered and were led to, and they, Marlene, you're going to have to remind me, I don't remember exactly if they reinforced your crystalline grid, within your body. But yeah, that's what's coming to me. That's kind of what they want to talk about for those who are interested. Those who are interested in your physical bodies, the changes that's happening, the crystalline grid. They can, of course, talk about realms within the earth and things like that. There's many questions that they would be able to answer, but that's their speciality, is about the physical body, how it changes the crystalline structure, what we're made up of, our DNA, all those kinds of things. So if anybody has any questions for them, I'm going to bring them through next. Okay. Marlene says, yes, they did a lot. No words for it. Hello, Asima. It's so nice to have your energy here. Thank you. Oh, it's so nice. This group is has such a wonderful energy, and I'm so happy to be part of it. I just apologize that I'm struggling with my speech. It's more a brain issue that I'm having than a speech issue. But yeah, I'm doing my best. Okay, just needing some hydration. Kisuko ki utsi suimba kutia si hai pai ua si sainta sea. Si kisuro to sete ki sinta sai suku sepete kai se. Kisuku. Okay. I'm going to have to be a little bit more conscious for this channeling. Because they're speaking in their language. So there's going to have to be a little bit of interpretation and a little bit of telepathy. But I will see if they can come through completely. It's a very, very different frequency than what I've worked with before. I've never channeled anything like them before. So this is a new experience for me. I have connected with them telepathically, but I hadn't tried to channel them directly yet. This is the first time. Fayara, I'm more familiar with. I know him, but it's the first time I'm getting such a close connection with him. So yeah, it's throwing me. Not throwing me, but it's the communication is a bit different. That's the best way I can put it. Okay. And they just want to keep speaking through me, actually, in their own language. So I feel when that needs to happen, I'm going to allow that to happen because they are. I think if you allow yourself to open your mind and open your heart, you're actually going to be able to tune into what they're saying, because they actually broadcasting a very strong telepathic communication. They're very strong telepaths. So, and they're very much working with frequencies. If you can think about crystals that make sounds, they vibrate not only at a high energetic frequency, but they give off sound frequencies that, you can hear. So yeah. So yes, it will be a combination of all of the above. Okay. You can go with the first question.
Okay, so the first question is from Michelle. Um, so Michelle was wondering how our crystalline structure is forming and changing, and the
Can you break the question up into
yes,
segments,
sure.
please?
So
So let's do
let's do
that.
that one first, please.
Okay. That's for Michelle's brain. That's for my brain. Okay, so ask me that again.
How is our crystalline structure forming and changing?
Okay, so they are showing me the energetic grid within our bodies, and it looks like a web is kind of the best way I can, and it almost does have a honeycomb web. I'm just trying to think if it's more octagon or if it's more hexagon. It seems to change in different areas, but it's so complex. So there's a specific map, I guess you can say, that net where the crystalline structure will form, and with specific organs, that crystalline structure looks different and more dense. That's the best way I can describe it. In other areas, it's less dense or there's less web. And certain areas, depending on the chakras, including the new chakras. So there's actually areas in the body where we are busy getting new chakras. So, for example, there's a higher heart and a lower heart. And I've also detected with most of the chakras that there's dual chakras happening, and that sometimes the dual chakras are becoming one new chakra, more balanced whole chakra instead of this dual chakra. So in certain energy points in the body, so it's not only the 7 that we know or the 9, it's other new places that's coming up as well. It's more dense and it almost has more like a nucleus that kind of spreads out. So I need to explain to you what I'm being shown so that you can get perhaps a visual idea. And I'm seeing different colors in different areas, and it's also connected to your aura, the colors of the crystalline structure. Okay, so as we know, the brain currently has magnetite in it already. So we actually have an electromagnetic signature, and that is why when we place our feet on the earth, we actually electromagnetically connect with the earth and get recharged physically. So walking barefoot is really good, and it's very good for grounding, and we need that grounding because she charges us up. She's like our charging device. Just like if you think about our devices having to charge them, very similar kind of thing. So like a recharge and a reboot and everything. It's like a healing thing that happens. So that is also important to understand. They are showing me, and that they are the keepers in the realm where they are. And it kind of looks like a band within the earth, almost like it makes a circular shape within a certain area. And then there's areas where they're concentrated as well, where they're more concentrated. And those are sometimes connected to the earth chakras as well. So they literally hold like a web that is like connecting us and the animals and everything on earth to earth's chakras. So I'm seeing, it's almost like seeing the inner body, like the veins or organs, even in some places, of the earth as a whole, with all her beings on it with all of us on her. So that all plays a role, and that's why the earth and us, and we're all changing together at the same time, because we're all having to level up in that physical way as well, the physical crystalline structure. So it's the new chakras forming. That's the one way in which that is changing, and we're getting more crystalline, because at the moment, like I said, we only have crystal in this one place, and it's going to grow from here. So they showed me actually essentially what I was explaining, what's started happening, and it has started happening already, especially a lot more with those people that are open and aware and awake, and so they will get that happening quicker. And that's also why that may be feeling very sensitive to lots of effects right now, because it's all working together to get changed right now, to level up, so to speak. So there's a very, very tiny amount of crystalline structure that's starting to form. For some people, it's still in the energetic realm. For some people, it's already coming into form in their bodies. So it's almost like laying the main structure of that web, that complicated web, down now. So the bigger areas are kind of being mapped, and very small amounts right now. That's going to intensify, and there's going to be more, and then it's going to become more informed and not just in an energetic layer. So the energetic thing is almost set, but it's all just about filling it in and coming into form as each body is ready. And at some point, we, of course, all going to have to be ready. Have to be ready or exit. That's pretty much. Sure. I wonder if I actually answered that properly, because I get distracted, especially with this group of people, because it's so detailed, and then I go on a little side trip, but it's all connected.
You need to spend a week in front of the canvas and just paint it out.
Sure. I think that's going to be weeks.
Yeah, I think you answered the question there.
Okay. It's really, I wish I could show it visually. It's amazing.
Okay, and then can they maybe tell us something about the forming of chromosome 2?
Oh, yes.
The history of mankind.
Yes, so chromosome 2 is one of the ways in which our DNA has been manipulated by the ancients. And that chromosome is responsible. There's a very definite mark. And I learned about this on, what's it called? Ancient Origins, I think it's called, on Gaia. They were talking, it's the season where they're talking about the origins of the Garden of Eden, all of those things. Sorry, I don't remember which season or anything like that. But they were talking about that, and that's why this question arose. Okay, so I just want to give you a little bit of background. So there's an actual, I don't know if marker is the right word, but specific spot that you can see on chromosome 2 that has been manipulated. And they've proven this scientifically, that it's been manipulated in some way. I can't remember the details. I don't know if you can help, Ant. But
so basically, they're just saying that the only reason why it stands out is because it is perfectly manipulated, number one. And number two, it would not ever be able to come about but with natural evolution as we know it today. So all the other chromosomes, they can still
justify that.
Justify the natural evolution, but chromosome 2 they can't. And it's the chromosome that basically distinguishes us from all other animals on the earth. So it's the one that allows us to have the critical thinking and all the rest of it.
The frontal cortex.
Yes, that's the word.
It's responsible for the frontal cortex, which makes us different, which the ancients had. They had that reasoning and logic, and So that they gave that to us. So that's why I asked that question. What was the question exactly again? Sorry.
You just want to know more about the forming of chromosome 2.
Okay.
And I think that ties into the history of mankind.
Okay. Sotia teki ateki rutuku seki asuki shiteki asaya oti araki asaya shitu kataku sepai ateki suya shiteki ratatuku feasu kimbaratayate. Okay, so what they're doing right now, just to explain what just happened, they have to speak through me with those frequencies to help me to connect to the message. It sounds a bit weird, but yes, that's how I'm understanding it. And they're also allowing those that are saying yes and open to it to receive the messages directly and also to get their crystalline structures reinforced. I don't know how to put it, but helping. It's like the frequencies, and it's not just the frequencies coming from my throat. It's other frequencies you can't hear that's coming through and into that crystalline grid and being strengthened. So for those who are open to receive that and ready for it, you might actually feel some physical changes from all this, because it also helps you to, what they're doing as well with that is helping you to actually tune into their frequency, those higher frequencies. So that's very interesting. That's just raising vibrations, but in a kind of, yeah, it's very interesting. Okay. Chromosome 2, ancient humans, ancient aliens. This chromosome, yes, it's exactly what Michelle was saying about. Sorry, I'm just saying it as I'm hearing it, as I'm understanding it. So it's exactly what Michelle was discussing just now, that they manipulated this DNA. And the way they did it is their labs are not exactly like a lab today, a science lab today. It's quite a bit different. As Fayara Kashak earlier explained about the wings and how they were able to use mind and that they were able to manipulate their technology with their minds. Very strong telepathic, but also able to sing and speak. And yeah, they weren't only telepathic, but they were able to organize their thoughts and their energies and everything to be able to manipulate things from almost from idea to flow and then to physical. And sometimes it was semi-physical. It was more like a gas. So in this case, this chromosome came into being partially like that, but partially it's kind of like, if you think about magic, like taking different particles from different species almost, finding out the frequency that matches the best, and then creating the structure where it will work and the connection where it will work. So they were very advanced in what they knew as well. Because this blows my mind, like how did they, but it just shows me that they understand DNA exactly. They understand how it works in many races. And I mean, they have our DNA, we have their DNA. We are family. We're part of each other. And yeah, so it's just very, very interesting. So I think I got a little bit sidetracked there again. Sorry. I've just got so much that I'm being shown, and I'm a little bit overwhelmed by it all. The messages are very vivid and very visual and very yeah. So it's quite like I'm kind of reeling from the experience that I'm having, and yeah, just trying to get it all back to make more coherent sense. But yeah, did I answer that?
I think so. We can. I think we should move to the next one.
Okay.
So then the next one then asks, what lies in the future in the form of physical for us?
Okay. I think they sort of already answered that about the crystalline structure, but perhaps there's more that they can share. Let's see. As each person's frequency raises, as each person's frequency is able to elevate, and as each person's mind, body, emotion, spirit connection starts getting more balanced out and more intertwined, they will be able to raise their physical vibration. And when they raise their physical vibration, the old must go. So the old will start dying off at a cellular level, even at a molecular level, much like the sci-fi movies you might have seen, like where Spider-Man gets bitten and the venom does something to his blood and fuses with his DNA, and then he changes. So it's much like that effect, but not as quickly as that. So it really is more over time and as it needs to happen. Because if it were to happen that fast, you wouldn't survive. And as it is, many people are actually experiencing sicknesses and symptoms. Many people are being asked to keep their bodies more pure and clean. And this is advised. You really should try and allow yourself to be more pure in all the ways that you can. And it's not to say you can't play and have experiences. Of course, continue to have the experiences. But in order to reap the benefit of this transformation and to feel it in the most positive way and deal with it and survive it the best, it is for your highest good and for your highest comfort to clear out toxins from your body as much as you can. And of course, as you get stronger, you will automatically become stronger in another level as well and be able to ward off the viruses and things like that naturally after a while. So it's kind of like your immune system is building as it is changing and becoming something new. As your cellular structure, some are deteriorating, some are changing into something else. It's more a transmutation than a complete clearing, but it's clearing of certain frequencies and signatures. So if you are experiencing some physical symptoms, some emotional symptoms, because the chemistry is also part of your body, and that chemistry is also part of what reminds you or shows you what you need to change in your own frequency. And with that, I mean doing the work you need to do within yourself, doing what you're called to do, all of those things, being in alignment with yourself in your own way, that is connected again to that physical part that I was speaking about, the chemistry of the emotions. So that's connected. Your thoughts, emotions, and healing and raised vibrations directly affects your body and your chemistry.
Awesome. I've got two people here that are asking about rainbow light, so I'm hoping that they can answer about this. So Honey says that saw rainbow when I closed my eyes, saw rainbow in the house. I'm still very new to this realm. What this means, I'm curious to understand about rainbow light.
Your eyes are preparing to see newer spectrums of light. So you are also starting to see more into other realms like ours. Our bodies ourselves, we're strong crystal light beings and higher frequency, obviously, but we use colors, so visual frequencies, sound frequencies, and higher frequencies. We use all of those things together, and it's hard to put it into words that might make sense to you, but it's as your eyes are changing and as you're seeing more and as your third eye is opening up more, and this will happen to everybody eventually, you will start experiencing more about that. And what you're actually seeing are some manifestations of luminous crystal rainbow beings that are present and working on the earth as well, because we are very elemental. We're like we do contain all of the elements, but of course we're very grounded in the earth, but we can also move around with the other elements and transform into those different elements, and that is what elementals are. So we are the core of what elemental beings are. There are some perspectives of us that can only be fire elementals, and there are some perspectives of us as a collective and as a whole, because we are a whole as well, that can be water or air or earth. But we're all grounded within the earth. We all have a strong, the crystalline structure is an earthly structure. And that is at the core of what unifies all of the others. But at our core, that is what we are. So you will be able to see us and perspectives of us being made visible to you. And if you are ready, you are seeing it. Some people are not ready. If you're seeing it, you're ready to see it. And whatever experience you're having with whatever beings you're having the experiences with, that's part of something that you chose to experience and want to connect with more, and that you might have a very specific affinity with. So allow yourself to be open to the experience and to try and connect with that frequency by, you can tune into it visually. Try and become the rainbow light. So if you're a very visual person, you're going to be very likely seeing these very visual. I'm saying manifestation, but of course they already exist. It's just that you're able to see them now, and they're showing themselves to you. Does it make sense? Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
Michael says, I've seen a rainbow in the middle of the moonlit night. Did I imagine it? Does it exist, and why?
It's exactly what I just explained with the previous question. So it's exactly the same. Same thing. It's not a symbol. It's actually more like actual entities that are showing themselves to you. And I suppose you could see it as a symbol of you opening up and raising frequencies and ready to see it.
Yeah. And then speaking about raising frequency stuff, I've got another question here. So I think this was from Mello, where he was wondering if it's part of the plan for everyone to know the truth, or do some souls sign up for a life of ignorant bliss to go about fulfilling their soul essence, so they don't actually ever level up?
So I want to make several things clear. First, we have our own understanding of this. And the giants who you will be speaking to soon have another point of view about this question. So make sure
That'll
to
be
ask
interesting.
that again to them. Yes, so some people choose to remain ignorant when they come here. And that is what they chose before they came here. Because they agreed to be the ones to let their loved ones level up on this plane, because their loved ones wanted those experiences. And another way to see their loved ones are perspectives of source. So that is pretty much what's happening there. That's what I'm seeing. So yes, then, okay, let me just let them come back again. I got completely distracted there. Okay, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. So it is also some of those people that seem to remain ignorant and are reflecting a reality in your world that you need to experience are not, in fact, people at all. Some of the people that you have interactions with that are perhaps not close to you, but are still giving you certain experiences, are holographic. Not holographic in the more substantial way that you are. You are a lot more informed than you are just a holographic. But a projected image and a projected idea and a projected energy to help you on your journey, in your learning. And many of these things you create, some you created before or decided that you were going to create it. But many of these forms and people and even animals and even plants that you interact with. But now we are talking about the ignorant ones. So these are usually in the form of people, but sometimes the animals act like this as well. Many of you have seen animals that are perhaps just not seeming to act very smartly. And these are animals just like the people that are in very ignorant states. But it's because, so the one level is that some of those reflections are reflections only. They are not actually souls. They are something you created so that you can experience what you need to experience. So not everybody you're interacting with is a real soul, but is something you're creating in your own matrix, your own holographic experience that you are bringing into form for the time that you need it to be there, or for when you need it there.
Great, thank you. Do you have any parting message for us?
Thank you so much. As we went on, Michelle was able to bring us through a little bit more in a human way. And that's been really wonderful for us to experience. Thank you. It's so different here in this human vessel. We are very closely connected with your vessels because we are bringing and connecting all the webs together. We are the web keepers. But experiencing the thoughts as opposed to just hearing the thoughts is quite different. Experiencing the way the brain interacts and all the connections it makes is quite different to how we experience things. So that has been quite lovely. Thank you so much for hosting us tonight, Michelle. Thank you very much. And thank you to all of you. And we would be happy to come and speak again to you about any experiences that you are having within that realm and point of view and physical experiences as well. Happy to come back and talk again. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Sending so much love and radiant, beautiful rainbow light to all of you. Ikatetetinta suetiara te kissa kasia sakushutu asita taika patete rajate kissa sakushutu kore te akera te. Thank you. Well, I think we're all going to be experiencing some interesting stuff in the next few days. For those of us that were open to receive that. I'm ready for it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Okay, it's been interesting so far. Yeah, the web keepers. Okay, so I'm so thrown by all of that. I need to see who. Oh yes, the Inner Earth Ancients. That is who I'm channeling next. Like it says, they're living in the deepest earth pocket, and they're giant non-human beings. So they're humanoid in the sense that most of them have like 2 arms and 2 legs and a head, but most of them don't look remotely human. Some of them are big, hairy monsters, kind of looking like weird Chewbacca's, but bigger. Looking like weird Sesame Street characters, some of them almost, but not quite. So they just look some of them kind of look like cuddly soft toys, but like monsters. I don't know how to explain it, but they are huge. They're giant, and they're not soft and fluffy, but they look at some of them. They're very primal in many ways, but extremely wise as well. Like, I don't know, I don't have words to actually express what I've experienced from them so far. And they are another first. I have not channeled them directly at all. This is a first for me. They approached me and said that they want to come through. So let's see how it goes. Okay. It's a night for new things. Sasquatch. Okay, I'll let them come. I'll let them come through, and then we'll. Okay, I'm already getting information, visual information. They're showing me things. Let me see if I can let them come through. And yeah, they're coming through as collectives. So the crystal light beings, the luminous rainbow light beings they think like a collective. They have their individual perspectives, but they're almost like one mind with many facets. That's very interesting. Okay, so let's see how this collective comes through. I don't know if a specific ancient is going to come through. I'm open to, as long as it's 100% light. Kinga isaikum. Hirahenganju naikinkankayo shete. Oh, seki se ati so. We are the keepers of the core. Some may think of us as trolls. Some have mistaken us or created fairy stories and called us trolls. But when we have appeared to humans, when we have ventured onto the surface, which does not happen anymore, not often, we make ourselves smaller. We are able to change our size when we go into that dimension. Because even though we are very physical within the earth, we are very solid and heavy and big. We are also able to make ourselves more light. We are able to show ourselves, so create a pocket, a temporary dimension where we can condense our energy and appear in a certain way to humans. Of course, we wanted to represent Earth in all the ways that we could, so we often try to just represent ourselves in a smaller way. It is more difficult to create something completely different to what we look at like, so we prefer to appear mostly as we are. I will answer the question about the Sasquatch. The Sasquatch are extraterrestrials. There are those. The Yeti and the Sasquatch are related. Bigfoot, sorry. And they are able to flip in and out of dimensions. They'll be there, and the next second they'll be gone. So, but we have some distant relationship or relation to them, but it's a very indirect. We were the first animal beings and that came here. And yes, even though we also have some alien ancestors, we were partly formed by the earth herself, and she manifested us into form. And we were different when the others came, and also changed our DNA. But these were the ones that were allowed. We were in agreement with the change. We know how to set boundaries. We will only allow the changes which we find beneficial for us and for the earth and for the highest good of all in these connected universes and connected realms in this space. And you can think of all these realms and the planets and all of the realms within them and all of the realms within the solar systems and galaxies and universes. It's like cells of a body, all of it. And so we are all connected as one big body. with all these different areas, with all the different beings living in all the different areas. And here we are, part of the earth, part of Gaia. She is our mother. And we are connected to the outside as well in the same way. As within, so without.
Okay, thank you. Have you always been the protectors of the core?
She created us when her core formed to protect her core. So yes, we were created at that time.
Okay, so I've got an interesting question here from Mello. He wants to know, why were the huge ancient world trees cut down and by who?
The ancient world trees were cut down by the Cabal. They were cut down so that the knowledge would not be there. They affect the memory of the humans, the non-memory, the fact that they were cut down. So they are directly connected to the frequencies of memory within the humans. So they were cut down maliciously. They were cut down for control. And I want you to understand that they will be formed again. They will be reformed, and some are saplings now. So everything goes in cycles, and it's the start of the next cycle for the trees.
Great, thank you. And then we asked this question to the Rainbow Crystalline, I can't remember their name now. We can ask this question to them, but I want to ask it to you as well. It was also from Mello. It was to know, so if it's part of the plan for everyone on Earth to know the truth, or do some souls sign up for a life of ignorant bliss to go about fulfilling their soul essence as humans?
Some humans don't want to see. Some humans don't want to believe. Even if I were to show myself to a human right now, they might dismiss me as something made up, as their imagination. Not all humans, surely, but some. So humans see, those humans especially, see what they want to see. And more particularly, don't see what they don't want to see. That is stronger than what they want to see. Because what they want to see, in a way, they have to bring into form. And if they try and force it too much, so for example, wanting to have a contact experience, they might not have that if they try and force that, right? So that's much harder to actually make happen. As well as manifesting things in form can sometimes be, it takes longer. There's a timeline and there's certain rules to adhere to still on this plane. So yes, I hope that answers your question. But so what the luminous rainbow being said is true as well. We will not go into that side of it because they explain that very well and they understand that very well. We are more tapped into their memories. We maintain the Earth's memories. We are able to access her database, so to speak, and all those record keepers of the Earth. We communed with the ancient tribes, the ancient shamans, and spoke to them of the memories of the Earth. But some were still forgotten. And in the same way, we are the ones that are feeding, manifesting, and nursing the trees back into form and back into health and back into the frequency they need to come into. So the core is the place of data. The core keeps it all organized. The core is like the central nervous system, or the what is the computer term? Memory chip. Is that correct? The thing that it operates on, that small component. Yes, that's correct. So that is pretty much what the core has. It has access to everything. It makes everything run. And it also spins at a certain frequency, and it's like a white light, like this platinum light. Yeah, it is not what scientists and humans have said is in the core at all. It's pure energy and data, and it's like a supercomputer you could never imagine. It is a world on its own, operating everything. So it contains the brain, so to speak, the nervous system, but it also contains the energy. It's like an energy core. This is the energy core that makes everything run, makes the earth spin. And you can actually think of the earth as a kind of device, but it is also a being. So, yes, that is, I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Marlene wants to know if you are Akashic Library beings.
To an extent, yes. We do access a lot of information in the Infiniverse, but our main focus is that of the earth and humanity and the earth's creatures. Everything that's happening here and on this school, it's like a university, and we have to keep the background systems going and running to make sure that everything functions and happens as it should. And we, and so are you, very fortunate that those that created huge messes in the past have come and rectified some things so that the core does not self-destruct.
And Mela wants to know, how is Agartha inner space illuminated, energized without the sun? Is this from the core you explained or something else?
The core. The core mostly. There are other smaller energy centers that are also very powerful. It's also very much connected to the crystal network within the earth. And we work very closely with the luminous light beings as well. They are our friends, and we work together with them. They're like a different department of this body.
Okay, thank you. So Tracy wants to know, can you communicate through crystals such as the Record Keeper crystal?
With us specifically?
Yes.
Yes, you can. If you are able to pick up on our frequency right now, that's being emitted right now from this transmission, tapping into this frequency here, you will be able to tap in with that crystal. That will help you. Yes, definitely.
Great, thank you. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Marlene's got a question. I'm not sure if it's relevant or, but I'll ask it anyway. So Marlene was asking a bit earlier, so what do you forge for use in the core?
When you say forge, what exactly do you mean? What is your understanding of forge?
We'll have to wait for Marlene to come back on that one.
So we will try to answer. If she comes back, please let us know.
Will do.
We do not forge weapons or anything like that, and we want to make that very clear. Our function is that of energy and keeping the nervous system running. We will just call it the nervous system because that is the easiest reference we can give you of what we are connected with, as well as this memory bank. And that's also the best way we can explain that. It's kind of like a brain, but not a brain. Because the earth, it's kind of like a brain. It's kind of like a brain, but not exactly. It's much more than that. It's the whole energy system of the earth. And incidentally, this is exactly the same energy system that some races have used. They've used stars to create a whole new world, and then they use that star energy to actually travel from place to place, including timelines. So their whole ship, as well as their whole world, is a star. They built their ship around a star, but the ship is so huge that it's like it's home. So some use their energy cores, and stars obviously have a bigger energy core than a planet. So because it's much more light frequency and higher energy. But yes, we just wanted to make sure that you explain that. I'm not sure if I addressed the question.
She's come back. She said that she picked up forge instruments. That's what she picked up.
We forge the components that is needed to keep this system running. We forge the you can think of it as a body and its cellular components, or you can think of it as a computer and its components. So we take care of the hardware and to make sure the software runs. That is one way to explain it. Just as the brain and the very small entities that live in your brain takes care of all of the electricity, thoughts, energy in this area, in this crown chakra area, as well as in the physical nervous system going right through down into your body. And some people's nervous systems are severed, and they have come here to experience something very specifically. So it's kind of like that. It's very difficult for me to explain it in a way that will give you the complete picture because it's so much more intense than that. We also forge other areas of the system that needs to be maintained. So that's the central core, that's our main function. But we also have our world that is outside of the core. And we have several places where we live, but they're all connected, so we can walk from one to the other. But several huge, you can think of them as caverns, and they have got to be maintained as well. So we forge tools to maintain the systems within each space, and also connecting it with the network, the web that needs to be, so to all the other parts where the messages and information, data, electricity, energy, all of that needs to go. So yeah, we form part of the brain, so to speak, if that makes sense. So we are creating things for those purposes.
Thank you.
Yes, and we also forge some things which are to connect to the living beings on this planet as well. So we work very closely with the rainbow beings.
Thank you. And then Marlene wants to know, what is your relationship to the dragons that hold the tectonic plates?
The dragons, we also work really closely with the dragons, and they are our friends. And some of us actually, certain parts of our groups, we are also people, and we also have different interests, and we also have different races, but we don't segregate because of differences, but we do have different interests. And some are more drawn or more called to work with the dragons actually at this level, because there is so much information and data and energy that comes from here. It's like the dragons we are having to connect the dragons with specific points in the portals. And so this is really difficult to explain because there's a multi-dimensional aspect of this. There are several different dimensions that these portals go through, and we are helping the dragons with the energy that is needed. Of course, the dragons generate their own energy as well, but just like you need to ground and connect to the earth and receive healing and charging, they also need to receive a certain element of that, not as much as people need to in a certain way, but they are also needing to connect. And we, of course, are maintaining their equipment as well. That's also part of the whole system. So there's all these different departments, you could say, and the dragons are in another department. So yes, we actually help maintain some of their armor and fix any hardware that needs to be fixed. Also, to an extent, in their physical bodies, because their hardware is some of it is very similar to the Earth's core, although not the same, but some of their external parts have got some of that strong material, if you could put it that way. Yes, and of course their armor and sometimes their scales, and sometimes they have gems in specific, actually embedded within their bodies, or it's like some of them have their chakras have got a specific gem connected to it physically in their bodies. So they're also more crystalline than people realize. They're not flesh and blood, not exactly. They're a combination of crystalline and elemental sort of beings. So yes, we work with them. We maintain, we help them so that they can perform the jobs that need to do in terms of systems and supporting them.
Great, thank you. And then Melo's got a question. He wants to know, do the deep underground military bases reach your level?
Very seldom. We have allowed some of our beings to connect with them, because there are places where they want to and need to travel to and want to understand more of. So we have allowed certain people and certain officials to come and communicate, and we have also agreed at times to transport them from one area to another area where they are not allowed to have access with their devices and their transportation. So if they've been willing to face us, and they respect us, because it's very important to respect us and respect the rules. We are working with very delicate things here, but we meet them in the dark places, not in the core. They've not come down to the very, very center of our place, and they have to travel interdimensionally to reach us as well. There's no physical tunnels, if you could put it that way, to reach us. It's much more of a quantum level. So yes, there have been those that have discovered us and spoken to us, and we have spoken to them. And we have helped them sometimes, yes, but it is a very limited. We do not allow anyone to come here. We would rather communicate with you in this fashion than allow you to come here. It is also very dangerous for humans in many respects.
Great, thank you. I think the last question for tonight, I just wanted to know, is all the inner pockets of Earth all combined, would they be larger than the external where we live?
Oh, certainly. Most definitely.
Much more space down there than up
Much more space, definitely. But of course, a lot of it will change as the Earth changes, because some of those areas are breaking open, and some are being flooded where there shouldn't be water, and some of them are. So just as the Earth's surface is experiencing some changes, there's some internal changes. But of course, with a higher technological races, they have prepared for this and they know what to expect, so they will be fine. But yes, yes, much, much, much bigger for sure, definitely. And if you think about it interdimensionally, even bigger.
Thank you. Do you perhaps have a parting message for us?
Yes. Please take care of the mother. Take care of the mother. She takes care of you. We could never expect you to take care of her the way she takes care of you. But of course, you can, as you allow yourself to become more pure, just as the others have suggested and said, and allow yourself to align with the pure frequencies much easier. You will, of course, start understanding how there are so many things that are destructive that does not need to be destructive. And just remember the earth and remember her and treat her with respect. No matter where on earth you may find yourself, where you may visit, treat her with respect. Please pick up your rubbish, clean up after yourself, and appreciate the food and gifts that she has for you. Don't eat that junk. That is not food. It's not. It's keeping you. It's keeping you from remembering what you need to remember. So yes, frequencies matter in all things.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Blessings to all of you. Thank you so much. And yes, we look forward to the ancient knowledge of the earth and the connection with the earth to become more common knowledge again, just like we used to share with the tribes. And we are going to try and help them remember what they need to remember as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, wow. They're so like placid almost. I don't know how to explain it. They do a lot of stuff. They're quite physical in the things that they do, but they're very just do what they do when they need to do it. That's the best way I can explain it. So that was very interesting. Thank you so much for all the excellent questions from everybody. Thank you, Anthony. I didn't even introduce him to anyone. So if anybody's new tonight, here's my husband. Come here.
Hello, everyone.
Here's Anthony, and he usually reads the questions for me so that I can stay in trance. So I did it a little bit backwards. And yeah. Thank you very much for every single one of you. I am quite tired, but I'm also so pleased with all the information that we've gathered. And you know what? I look forward to the time when I can plug my brain, my visual cortex, into a computer or something, just so that what I see can just be seen by everybody. That'd be cool. For many of us, I think that would be really awesome. So yeah, I look forward to that. Thank you so much. Hi, Sandra. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Sending you lots and lots of love and hoping you all find the truths that you're looking for. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.